First day on the job, and my hot boss wants to game with me. I immediately locked in Jungle Boar. Once in the game, I beelined for her sweet, sweet phone. Talked trash after, really laid it on thick. But then, she just stared at my game ID, grinding her teeth like crazy. Bro, that 20 bucks you scammed me out of 5 years ago, you spend it all? My whole life flashed before my eyes, and I felt a sudden clench. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that 5 years ago, playing the pity card to scam money in a game, and this falling snow no trace person, was the one and only mark I ever successfully fleeced. Back then, she was the sweet-voiced little sis. Always Oni-chan, please carry me, begging me to boost her rank. I sweet-talked her, telling her I wanted to buy a new skin. Needed just 20 bucks. Without a second thought, she transferred it. I got the money, blocked her in a heartbeat, and bounced. Vanished into thin air. But what I never, ever expected was to run into her again 5 years later in this kind of situation. That sweet little girl next door from back then had transformed into my boss. Sue, ma'am, you must have me confused with someone else? I bought this phone myself. Su Qingxue gave a cold laugh. She picked up another personal phone from the desk and dialed a number directly. The next second, the phone in my pocket started vibrating like crazy at the worst possible time. The ringtone in the dead-silent office sounded extra piercing. Dozens of eyes from around the office all turned to stare directly at me. My legs went weak. My knees buckled. Have mercy, oh merciful goddess. Get up, since it's you. Then we've got 5 years of old scores to settle. She picked up the gaming phone again. Game on. But instead of attacking the enemy, she started chasing me all over the map, giving my location coordinates to the other team. One game later, my stats were a pathetic 0/20/0, and then she hit me with a report. My heart felt more and more trapped. Finally, he stood up and announced in front of the entire company, starting today, Lin K is being transferred to special assistant to the president. His desk will be moved to my office. Under the sympathetic gazes of everyone, my desk was moved right under his nose, and he gave me a task. Go and count the ants in the flower bed downstairs. 100 bucks will be docked from your salary for every ant you miss. Looking at the scorching sun outside the window, I was dumbfounded. But now I can't run away, and I don't dare to curse. Finally, I just counted ants under the blazing sun, and got a nasty sunburn. Back in my rental apartment that night, the more I thought about it, the more frustrated I became. Damn it, I'm done with this crap job. The next day I went straight to the HR department, and handed in my resignation letter. The lady at the desk looked at me with sympathy, then handed me a contract. Lin K, please take a look at this contract. If Party B, Lin K, voluntarily resigns during the contract period, he must pay liquidated damages to Party A, in the amount of 2 million yuan. 2 million? Is this woman a devil? Is she really going this far over a measly 200 yuan? Does it really have to go this far? I had no choice but to grin and bear it. I went back to the president's office to continue to endure his torment. Lin K, pour me a cup of coffee. I handed it over. He took a sip and splashed it right at my feet. Too hot. Too cold. Too much sugar. No sugar. He kept me running back and forth a dozen times. I felt like my legs didn't even belong to me anymore. Just when I thought the torment was over, he gave me a new instruction. The company is launching a new corporate culture. As the president's special assistant, you must take the lead. So starting tomorrow, come to work every day cosplaying a video game hero. Cosplay as what? Let's start with your favorite Marco Polo tomorrow. So the next day, me, a 6-foot-tall adult male, wearing a Marco Polo cosplay outfit that didn't fit at all, wearing Marco Polo's wig, walking around the company. Everywhere I went, there were bursts of laughter that couldn't be suppressed. My face was completely thrown on the ground and repeatedly rubbed that day. When the department meeting started, Su Qingxue went even further. He pointed to the financial statements on the projection and said to me, Special Assistant Lin, use Marco Polo's tone of voice. Read this financial report to everyone. I resisted the urge to throw the report in his face and read it in a tone of voice that rubbed my IQ on the ground. Seeing you guys reminds me of a guy. He owes me 200 bucks. After the meeting ended, I was in the pantry, complaining to my colleagues that Su Qingxue was an old witch, and he caught me red-handed. But he wasn't angry. Instead, he sized me up with interest. Since I'm an old witch, where's my broom? I'll give you half an hour. Go buy me the same style broom as the old witch. Alright, hurry back. So, in the eyes of passers-by and the police, I rushed back to the company with a broom. Su Qingxue was standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window in the office, watching my funny appearance on the monitor. A sincere smile finally appeared on the corner of his mouth. Although it was a mocking smile, he left me to work overtime alone again at night, and ordered a whole table, my favorite crawfish, barbecue and fried chicken, and then he ate it right in front of me, taking his sweet time. Wouldn't give me a single bite. Know how that feels? That's how I felt back then. Starving. Waiting for you to log on and carry me in the game. Just when I thought I was gonna live like this miserable, an uninvited guest arrived, shattering the peace. He barged into the president's office, holding a bouquet of 99 tacky red roses. Qinghan, I'm back. Tampon, who let you in? Tampon completely ignored her cold glare, and stepped forward on his own accord, striking what he thought was a cool pose. Woman, stop playing hard to get. Don't you know? You're playing with fire? No. What is this, some ancient drama? Who even talks like that anymore? Su Qingxue was clearly annoyed as well. She rolled her eyes, and suddenly grabbed me, who was standing nearby, wearing a polo-sci worker uniform. Let me introduce you. This is my boyfriend. What? Tampon's gaze instantly shot at me like a knife, as if he wanted to carve 2 holes in me. He pulled out a checkbook from his pocket, and quickly wrote down a string of numbers. I'll give you 5 million. Leave her. 5 million? I've never seen so much money in my life. My hand even started to raise subconsciously. The next second, the top of my foot was hit with a burst of excruciating pain. Su Qingxue's 4-inch stilettos landed on my foot for the first time in over 10 years. The pain made me gasp instantly. She whispered in my ear. Her voice was soft but vicious. Grateful? You're so dead. It hurt so much I grimaced. The instinct for survival made me tearfully refuse that ever-ready supporting check. No. My love for Qingxue is priceless. Okay, you just wait. I'll make sure you can't survive in Shanghai. Who do you think you are? My dog is the only one I can bully. Squeezed between 2 powerful freaks, I felt like I was suffocating. That night, I took advantage of the late hour to secretly pack my little bag. I bought a ticket to the countryside overnight. Escape. I have to escape. So what if the breach of contract is 2 million? I quit. The worst-case scenario is going back to the village to farm. I don't believe Su Qingxue can chase me into the boonies. The moment my bus started, I looked at the city lights rushing backward outside the window. I let out a long sigh of relief. Goodbye, wife. I'm finally free. Back in the village, I felt alive again. I took off that suffocating suit and put on my shorts and flip-flops. I felt like I was that again. Lawless village bully. Grandma was so happy to see me back. She couldn't stop smiling. Where you headed? Why are you back? Couldn't get used to the city? The city's no place for people. Still more nurturing here. For the next 2 days, I completely let myself go. Every day I took a bunch of snot-nosed kids to the wheat field at the entrance of the village, playing King of Glory. I was multitasking, bragging to them about my glory days. Back when you scammed me, I was the #1 Marco Polo in the nation, dual-wielding pistols. Any 2-bit scrub who saw me had to call me sensei. The kids looked at me with adoration. It really fed my ego. Suddenly, the only dirt road leading into the village kicked up a cloud of dust. A Rolls-Royce, something I'd only seen online, and its incongruous aura, appeared, looking totally out of place. People working in the fields, playing cards at home, chilling under the trees. Everyone was stunned. They all crowded around to see what was happening. Holy cow! What kind of car is that? Fancier than the village chief's tractor. How many bags of rice would I have to haul to afford one of those things? Under the curious gaze of the whole village, the Rolls-Royce stopped right in front of me. The door opened. A foot in a 4-inch heel stuck out first, and stepped squarely into a fresh pile of cow manure. Su Qingxue. She actually tracked me down. Su Qingxue ignored the mishap beneath her feet, and strode right through the crowd, coming to a stop in front of me, radiating menace. Lin K, did you think hiding in this backwater meant you didn't have to pay back that $200? The villagers' gossipy eyes darted back and forth between the two of us. They started whispering and gossiping. What? Our village's rare college grad owes that girl $200? Still, that girl's got a screw loose. Chasing someone down all the way out here, in a fancy car like that, for $200. Talk about cheap. Su Qingxue was trembling with rage. She wanted to explain, but she felt it would be impossible to explain things to these villagers. In the end, she could only vent all her anger on me. She pointed to her cow-dung-covered high heel and said, "Clean it." I looked at her appalling high heel and her face that was about to explode with fire. And for a moment, I felt a little gleeful. But the villagers' murmurs grew louder and louder, and what they were saying became more and more outrageous. This girl doesn't look like she's stingy. Kay, did you deceive her affections? Could it be she had a kid and came looking for the father? I was overwhelmed, afraid that if I let her make a scene, my reputation would be completely ruined. I could only bite the bullet, tear off a handful of grass from the side, and, fighting back my disgust, help her scrape the cow dung off her shoe. Su Qingxue looked at my frustrated expression, and the color in her face improved slightly. She announced, "Until I pay off my debt, she's not going anywhere. She's staying at my house." Grandma was overjoyed to hear that. She didn't understand anything that had happened. She only saw that I brought back a fairy-like girl. This girl is so pretty. Is she Kay's girlfriend? What? And Su Qingxue's nightmare formally began. From the moment she entered my courtyard. First, she saw in the corner of the yard the simple outhouse built with bricks and asbestos tiles. Her face turned green on the spot. Not only that, Grandma cleaned out my sister's room that she lived in before she got married. A hard wooden bed, covered with a faded red and green floral quilt. Is there no Simmons? All we got here are shoes. You want M or what? In the middle of the night, I was awakened by the series of ear-piercing screams coming from the room next door. Ugh, mosquitoes. There's mosquitoes. Lin Kay, get your butt over here. I gloating, found her a pair of Grandma's floral cloth shoes, and an outfit my mom wore when she was young. Director Su, when in Rome. The next day, when Su Qingxue walked out of the room, dressed in a standard country bumpkin outfit, I almost burst out laughing. I gotta say, that outfit actually suits you pretty well. Lin Kay, I'm hungry. I want steak. Medium rare. I chuckled, turned and went into the kitchen, then served her up a plate of cold mixed fish mint, spicy stir-fried cilantro, braised fatty pork. Su Qingxue looked at the table of dishes that challenged the limits of human taste, her face changing again and again. But in order to maintain her CEO dignity, she stubbornly picked up a piece of fish mint and put it in her mouth. The next second, she rushed into the yard and threw up everywhere. She's afraid of the dark at night and doesn't dare to sleep alone. So I moved a small stool and sat in front of her door, still clutching the hem of my clothes tightly. Director Su, this kind of grabbing and pulling constitutes workplace sexual harassment. Shut up. Letting you stand guard is your honor. Looking at her acting all tough, when she's clearly scared to death, I suddenly felt like, this she-devil isn't so annoying after all. Early the next morning, a giant red dragonfly that straight up revitalized the whole Peach Blossom village. I bolted out of the yard, and there it was, a white private helicopter, wobbling as it landed in the village threshing ground. The rotor wash kicked up a gale. Blew old man Chen Lian's toupee clean off, before the chopper even stopped spinning. Sanitary napkin, show-off that she is, was clutching a bouquet of blue roses, striking a pose like her tailbone was about to explode, hopping out. But the second she got her footing, she got a face full of that farm smell blowing in the breeze. And it made her gag right then and there. She pinched her nose, spotted Su Qingxue in the crowd wearing that floral print jacket. Her face instantly crumpled in heartbroken sorrow, like I was watching a fallen saint. Qinghan, I'm here to rescue you. How dare they make you suffer like this? This dumpy backwater place doesn't deserve you. Then she whips out her checkbook again. This time she goes straight to the village chief who'd come running. I'll give you 10 million. Sell me this podunk town. I'm gonna build the world's most luxurious resort for Qinghan right here. What did you say, you numbskull? You want to move our ancestral graves? Things were about to get ugly quick, when Su Qingxue suddenly stepped forward, and did something that dropped everyone's jaws. She walked up and took my arm, leaning on me, gave sanitary napkin, a sweet smile. Sorry, not sorry. I just love the natural vibe here. And I'm kinda partial to this natural fella right here too. Sanitary napkin didn't buy it. She figured I was holding Su Qingxue hostage. So she challenged me straight up. Fine. You want to prove you're better than me? Huh? Let's have a contest. We'll compete. We'll compete at the thing you country bumpkins do best. Rice planting. I looked at her immaculate high-fashion suit and those shiny shoes. She flashed a devilish smile. Oh great. Heaven had a road, but you didn't take it. Hell didn't have a door, but you barged right in. Today I'm gonna let you see what real back to basics is all about. News of the rice planting competition spread like wildfire, flying all over Peach Blossom Village. The whole village, young and old, men, women, and children, all lugged their benches, grabbed their sunflower seeds, and ran to the rice paddies on the east side of the village, ready to watch the showdown. Miss Pads, all puffed up, prepared to get into the paddy. As soon as one foot touched the mud, she went down like a carrot, toppling straight into the muck. Couldn't get herself out. The whole crowd erupted in laughter. I skillfully walked barefoot into the field. My movements were smooth and fluid. With a few quick swipes, a neat row of seedlings was planted. Miss Pads struggled in the mud for a good while, finally managing to pull herself out, completely covered in mud. Just as she was about to move forward, she suddenly let out a shriek. "Something's biting me!" She frantically flicked her calf. A dark, leech-like thing was firmly attached to her leg. Miss Pads screamed in terror, completely losing it. Su Qingxue stood on the ridge of the field, watching this comical scene, laughing so hard she was doubled over. She couldn't even stand up straight, but Miss Pads wasn't about to give up. Pulling herself out of the mud, she brought up the second event. "Not so fast. I'll give you a second event. Catch a goose." She pointed at the flock of arrogant white geese at the village entrance, and declared confidently, I almost yelled. Everyone in the village knows that the gaggle of geese raised by Uncle Air's family are the village's terrorizers. Even the dogs are afraid of them. Sure enough, as soon as Sanitary Napkin got close, the lead goose, the big boss, stretched out its neck, and, with its gang, charged at her. What happened next was a massacre. Sanitary Napkin was chased by a bunch of geese, running wildly down the village road, screaming bloody murder. The big goose king accurately pecked at her butt, poking several holes in her expensive suit pants. Su Qingxue was laughing so hard, tears came out. Finally, I couldn't watch anymore, so I stepped forward and grabbed the goose king by the neck, lifting it up, and rescuing Sanitary Napkin, whose butt was in bloom. She turned around, standing there dejectedly, her pants torn, cursing again. Su Qingxue wiped away the tears from laughing, cleared her throat, and in front of the whole village, announced the results of the competition. I hereby announce that this rural brawl is won by Lin K. As a reward, you are going to wash the clothes I changed out of yesterday. What kind of reward is that? That night, the village's power went out due to line maintenance. Without phones or TV, the whole village was plunged into darkness and quiet. Su Qingxue and I climbed onto the roof, looking at what above were not in the city. A starry sky I'll never see. A brilliant, starry sky. The summer night wind, carrying the scent of soil and grass, feels so good on my skin. Back then, why did you scam me? Why did you block me? After you scammed me out of my money? I was silent. This question is like a thorn that's been stuck in my heart for 5 years. At that time, my mom was sick. She needed money urgently for surgery. I had no choice, so I went online, hoping to scam some money. But after I got the money, I felt extremely guilty. I felt like I couldn't face you anymore, so I blocked you. Su Qingxue didn't say anything, just listened quietly. Actually, regarding that 200 yuan, I figured out a way the next day to use the gifting feature in the game, to recharge points and return it to you. You probably just didn't notice. Su Qingxue was stunned. She took out her phone, and then, with her incredible abilities, obtained the spending records from 5 years ago. She searched through the spending records for a long time. Finally, under a certain date 5 years ago, she found a gifting record for 2,000 points. The misunderstanding was resolved, but the atmosphere became even more subtle and ambiguous. She lowered her head, her voice as soft as a mosquito's buzz. Then you're a liar too. You stole my trust. You know, during that time, my parents had just divorced. There was chaos at home. No one cared about me at all, and you were my whole world. I really considered you a very important friend back then. My heart, it was like I'd been hit hard by something. So that's how it is. So behind those 200 yuan was a story like this. I looked at her exquisite profile. In the moonlight, it lacked its usual coldness and forcefulness, and had a touch of vulnerability and softness. I suddenly felt that this she-devil didn't seem so scary after all. Wei Shengjin stayed at the town clinic for a day. The next day, she came back with a vengeance. This time, she didn't put on any of those flamboyant displays. Instead, she directly called a bunch of bodyguards, wearing black suits and sunglasses, and blocked the only road into the village. I've already contacted the investors, and I'm ready to buy up the land in your village, to build a chemical plant here. When that happens, your beautiful, scenic peach blossom village will turn into a stinky ditch. The villagers were furious, and surrounded them with their farm tools. Su Qingshue's expression darkened. She stepped forward and stood in front of the villagers and me. Wei Xingjin, you're breaking the law. Wei Xingjin sneered. She didn't take her words seriously at all. She gave the bodyguards a signal. 2 bodyguards immediately stepped forward, one on the left and one on the right, and grabbed Su Qingshue's arms to forcibly drag her into the car. Qingxue, I took a deep breath and put 2 fingers in my mouth. I blew a loud, piercing whistle. The next second, hundreds of Chinese rural dogs poured out from all directions. A dark mass instantly surrounded Wei Xingjin's motorcade. At that moment, dung scoops and rotten vegetable leaves flew everywhere, and dog barks and human screams echoed together. Those bodyguards in the city wearing security uniforms had never seen this kind of struggle, beaten to a pulp by the villagers. Retreating step by step, I took advantage of the chaos to rush to the front of the car. Swinging the shovel in my hand, I smashed it hard against the car window. With a crash, the car window shattered instantly. The broken glass cut my hand. Blood gushing out, I didn't care about the pain. Reached in and opened the car door, and pulled Su Qingshuo out of the car. Are you okay? Su Qingshuo looked at my bloody hand. The usually calm look on her face showed a hint of panic for the first time. Your hand. The sanitary napkin guys were completely terrified. Amidst the condemnation of the whole village, and the dogs' welcoming cheers on both sides of the road, they scrambled into the car and shamefully drove away. I looked at Su Qingshuo, who I had protected behind me. She was also looking at me. In her eyes, there was an emotion I couldn't understand swirling around. Back home, Grandma looked at my injured hand. Her heart ached, and she kept shedding tears. Su Qingshuo took out the first aid kit from the house and carefully helped me clean the wound. Stinging pain. Her movements were clumsy, but very gentle. When the disinfectant touched the wound, it hurt a lot, but I didn't make a sound. Grandma watched from the side, looking like she was enjoying the show. Our Kayer has grown up. He knows how to care for his wife now. I like this granddaughter-in-law just by looking at her. Not a big temper. Looks like she'll be easy to raise kids. Su Qingshue's face flushed red all the way to her ears. This was the first time I had ever seen her blush. From that day on, the atmosphere between us changed. She didn't bring up the $200 again, or mention the breach of contract fee. She took off her heels and suit, and put on sneakers and a hoodie, and started following me to the river to catch fish, and to the mountains to pick mushrooms. She learned fast, from being clumsy at first, to actually getting the hang of it. One day we were fishing by the river. She suddenly spoke up. Lin K, I'm not going back. I'm staying here. I'll be your wife. What do you say? I looked at her serious expression, and quickly took 2 steps back. No. President Su, you must be kidding. I can't afford you. You eat half a month's worth of my meals in one sitting. Su Qingshuo didn't say anything, just kept pressing closer, backing me up against a big tree trunk. She slightly raised her chin, with her unique domineering and forceful attitude. All right then, I'll support you. Come back to the company with me. Be my personal assistant. I opened my mouth, trying to refuse, but she pulled out from her pocket that breach of contract, the one I thought she would treasure for life. The $2 million contract, right in front of my face, tore it to shreds. Debt. Forgiven. You are mine. My heart was beating so fast it felt like it was going to jump out of my throat. Seeing me standing there dumbfounded, a mischievous smile appeared on her lips. She leaned close to my ear, and with a voice only I could hear, whispered softly, if you don't agree, I'm telling the whole town about you dressing in drag 5 years ago and scamming me online. Fine. You win. Eventually, she banished me back to a city. Back at the office, everything had changed. The way my colleagues looked at me went from pity to shock to awe. That big goofball, the CEO's assistant who wears cosplay outfits, is now brazenly sitting on the CEO's office couch, playing video games on the CEO's computer. And the Ice Queen CEO not only didn't blow up, but personally served him tea and water, and cut up fruit for him. When Su Qingshuo was in meetings, she was still the decisive, take-no-prisoners queen. But everyone noticed that whenever her gaze swept over me, that icy look in her eyes would instantly melt and become as gentle as water. After working overtime, our private time officially began. Playing Duo Q became our daily routine. But this time, the roles were completely reversed. I comfortably chose Yao, like an accessory, riding on her head, and she masterfully controlled Marco Polo, slaughtering everyone in the King's Canyon and carrying me to victory. In the game, there were always clueless teammates, calling me a leech and a gold digger. Whenever this happened, Su Qingshuo would turn on the all-team microphone, with her clear and commanding voice. Take me back? I'd be happy to. What's up? This is the hubby I bought for 200 bucks back in the day. Got a problem with that? I looked at my phone screen, at her domineering statement, and laughed helplessly and fondly. Even though back then, I just wanted to scam her for a skin. Who would have thought I'd end up giving away my whole life? Investing everything I had? First day on the job, the beautiful boss asks me to play a game with her. I decisively chose the Polo Kid for the jungle role. Once in the game, I went straight for her tasty cooked chicken, stole it and taunted her like crazy. However, she stared at my game ID, grinding her molars. Big brother, that 200 bucks you scammed me out of 5 years ago, did you spend it all? Boom. I instantly felt my butthole clench. I suddenly remembered 5 years ago, pretending to be a transvestite in the game to scam support players. And this falling snow without a trace proved to be the only successful outcome of my scamming days. Back then, she was a sweet-voiced little sister, calling me big brother every other word, begging me to carry her to a higher rank. I sweet-talked her, saying I wanted to buy a new skin, and was short 200 bucks. Without a word, she transferred it over. I got the money, blacklisted her at light speed, and ran, and disappeared from the face of the earth. But what I never dreamed of happening was that 5 years later, in this kind of situation, we'd meet again in this way. That soft, sweet little sister next door has transformed into my direct superior. President Su, aren't you mistaking me for someone else? I bought this account. Su Qingxue let out a cold laugh. She picked up another private phone from her desk and dialed a number directly. The next second, the phone in my pocket started vibrating like crazy at the worst possible moment. The ringtone was especially piercing in the dead silent office. Dozens of pairs of eyes in the entire office turned to look at me in unison. My legs went weak, and my knees buckled uncontrollably. Have mercy, Grandma. Haha. Get up. Since it's you, then we need to properly calculate the interest from these past 5 years, don't we? She picked up the gaming phone again. The game continued. But instead of attacking the enemy, she started chasing me all over the map, giving my location coordinates to the other side. One game ended. My score was a disastrous 0-20-0. Then she immediately reported me. My credit score was completely wiped out. Finally, she stood up and announced in front of the entire company, from today on, Lin K is reassigned as the president's special assistant. Move his desk to my office. Under the sympathetic gazes of everyone, my desk was moved right under her nose, and she also gave me a task. Go clear out the ants in the flower bed downstairs. 100 bucks off your salary for every ant missing. Looking at the scorching sun outside the window, I was dumbfounded. But now I can't run, and I don't dare to curse. In the end, I spent the whole afternoon counting ants under the blazing sun, and got a layer of skin burned off. When I got back to my rental apartment that night, the more I thought about it, the more frustrated I became. Screw it, I'm not doing this crap anymore. The next day I went straight to HR and submitted my resignation letter. The lady looked at me with sympathy, and then handed me a contract. Lin K, take a look at the contract. Take a look at the contract. Lin K knew that if he quit during his contract, he'd have to pay the company a penalty of 2 million yuan. 2 million? Is this woman a demon? All for a measly 200 bucks? Was it really necessary to go this far? I'll just have to grin and bear it. Back in the CEO's office, I continued to endure her torment. Lin K, get me a coffee. I brought it over. She took a sip and splashed it right at my feet. Too hot. Too cold. Ugh. Too much sugar. Ha ha ha. No sugar at all. Back and forth, I ran around like that a dozen times. I felt like my legs weren't even mine anymore. Just when I thought the torment was over, she gave me a new directive. The company is pushing a new corporate culture initiative. As the CEO's assistant, you need to lead by example. So, starting tomorrow, you're going to cosplay a video game hero every day for work. Cosplay what? Let's start with your favorite polo boy. So the next day, there I was, a 6-foot-tall adult man, wearing a terribly ill-fitting Marco Polo cosplay outfit, complete with Polo Boy's wig, walking around the office. Everywhere I went, people were bursting out laughing. My pride was completely ground into the dirt that day. During the departmental meeting, Su Qingxue really ramped things up. She pointed to the financial report on the projector and said to me, Mr. Lin, in Polo Boy's voice, read this financial report to everyone. I resisted the urge to throw the report, the urge to throw it in her face, said in an IQ of 250 tone. Seeing you guys reminds me of some dude. He owes me 20 bucks. Ha! After the meeting, I was in the break room with a coworker, bitching about how Su Qingxue is a wicked witch, and she caught me red-handed. But she wasn't even mad. Instead, she sized me up with great interest. Since I'm the wicked witch, where's my broom? I'll give you half an hour. Go buy me a wicked witch-style broom and bring it back. Oh yeah, ride it back. So, under the bewildered gazes of passers-by, I rode a broom back to the office. Su Qingxue was standing in front of the office's floor-to-ceiling windows, watching on the security monitor. How ridiculous I looked. The corners of her mouth finally turned up, in a genuine smile, even though it was a sneer. That night, she made me work overtime again, and ordered a huge table full of all my favorite crawfish, barbecue, and fried chicken. Then, right in front of me, she slowly and deliberately ate it all. Wouldn't give me a single bite. Now you know how it feels, right? Humph. That's how I felt when I was starving. And you took me online to play games. Just when I thought I was going to live like this, in deep water and scorching fire, an uninvited guest arrived and broke the peace. Clutching 99 of the most cliché red roses, she barged into the president's office. Qin Han, I'm back. Qin Han, who told you to come in? Qin Han completely ignored her cold face and walked forward on his own, striking a pose that he thought was cool. Woman, stop playing these games of hard to get. Do you know? You're playing with fire? What is this, the Stone Age? Lines like that are something straight out of some old-school CEO playbook. Su Qingxue was clearly beyond annoyed too. Her eyes darted around. Suddenly, she grabbed the guy next to her wearing that cost-forward outfit. I was pulled over. Let me introduce you. This is my boyfriend. Huh? What? Su Qinghan's glare instantly shot at me like a knife, as if she wanted to carve 2 holes in me. She pulled out a checkbook from her purse and quickly wrote down a string of numbers. Here's 5 million for you. Leave her. 5 million? I've never seen that much money in my life. My hand already went up subconsciously. The next second, a piercing pain shot through the top of my foot. Su Qingxue's 10-centimeter stilettos connected with my foot for the 10th year in a row. The pain made me gasp for air. She whispered in my ear, her voice light but vicious. Dare to accept it, and you're a dead man. I winced in pain, and the instinct to survive made me refuse with tears in my eyes. And that check, so close I could almost touch it. No, my love for Qin Han is priceless. Fine, you just wait. I'll make sure you can't survive in this city again. Who do you think you are? Only I can mess with my dog. Caught between 2 powerful freaks, I felt like I was suffocating. That night, I took advantage of the quiet and dark, and secretly packed my crappy little bag. I bought a train ticket to the countryside overnight. Running away might be shameful, but so what if I'm close to 2 million in debt? I quit. I'll just go back to the village and be a farmer. Humph, I don't believe Su Qingxue would chase me all the way to the boonies. The moment the train started moving, I watched the city lights flashing past the window, and let out a long sigh of relief. Goodbye, old witch. I Lin K am free. Back in the village, I felt like a new man. I ripped off that stifling cosplay outfit, and threw on some basketball shorts and flip-flops. I felt like I was back to being the Hellraiser who ran this town. Grandma was overjoyed when she saw me return. Shuewa, what brings you back? Couldn't hack it in the city? Sigh. That city life just isn't for everyone. This place is where it's at. For the next couple of days, I completely let loose. I spent my days with a bunch of snot-nosed kids playing Arena of Valor by the wheat fields near the village entrance. I was playing and at the same time, bragging about my glory days. Back in the day, your boy K here was the #1 Marco Polo in the whole damn country. Wielding those dual pistols, even Shuangyin Sword had to call me master. The kids stared at me with admiration, which greatly inflated my ego. Suddenly, a cloud of dust kicked up on the only dirt road leading into the village. A Maybach, which I'd only ever seen online, came into view. Its luxurious vibe was completely out of place on this road. Those working in the fields, those playing cards at home, those relaxing under the trees. Everyone was startled. They all gathered around to see what was going on. Holy crap, what kind of car is that? It's fancier than the village chief's tractor. How many bags of rice would I have to sell to afford one of those things? Under the curious gazes of the entire village, the Maybach finally came to a stop in front of me. The door opened, and a pair of gorgeous feet in 10-centimeter high heels emerged first. Then one of those feet stepped right into a fresh pile of cow dung on the side of the road. Ah! Su Qingxue. She actually came after me. Su Qingxue ignored the unfortunate encounter with the dung. Pushing through the crowd of onlookers, she stormed right up to me. Neighbor, you thought hiding out in this backwater meant you wouldn't have to pay back that $200? The villagers' gossipy eyes darted back and forth between the two of us as they started whispering and discussing. What? Our village's hard-earned college graduate owes this girl $200? Although, this girl is really something. For $200, she chased him all the way here in such a nice car. Too stingy, huh? Su Qingxue was trembling with anger. She wanted to explain, but realized she couldn't make it clear to these villagers, so finally, she could only vent all her anger on me. She pointed to her high heel covered in cow dung. "Clean it for me." I looked at her wretched high heel, and her face, about to burst into flames. A little bit of schadenfreude crept into my heart. But the villagers' murmurings grew louder and louder, and what they were saying became more and more outrageous. This girl doesn't look stingy. Did Kay scam her for her feelings? Could she be here to find the father of her child? I was losing it, afraid of her making more of a scene. My reputation would be completely ruined. I had no choice but to bite the bullet and tear off a handful of grass from the side. Fighting back the disgust, I scraped the cow dung off her shoe. Su Qingxue watched my frustrated expression, and the color in her face improved slightly. She announced that until I paid off my debt, she wasn't going anywhere. She was staying at my house. Grandma was overjoyed when she heard that. She didn't understand at all what owing money meant. She only saw that I brought back a fairy-like girl. "Oh my, this girl is so pretty. Is she Kay's girlfriend?" "What?" And Su Qingxue's nightmare officially began. From the moment she stepped into my yard. First, she saw the makeshift outhouse in the corner of the yard, made of bricks and asbestos tiles. Her face instantly turned green. That night, Grandma fixed me up with the room my sister used to live in before she got married. A stiff wooden plank bed, covered with faded red and green floral sheets. "No memory foam? We only have straw mats here. Do you want one?" In the middle of the night, I was awakened by screams coming from the next room. "Ah, mosquitoes! There are mosquitoes! Neighbor, get your butt over here." I gleefully found her a pair of Grandma's floral cloth shoes and an outfit my mom used to wear when she was young. President Gu when in Rome. The next day when Su Qingxue walked out of the room, wearing a standard villager outfit, I almost burst out laughing. "You know what? That outfit actually suits you." "Lin Kay, I'm hungry. I want a steak medium rare." I chuckled, turned around and went into the kitchen. Then I served her a plate of cold jejiurgin salad, stir-fried cilantro, and braised fatty pork. Su Qingxue looked at this table of dishes that challenged the limits of human taste, and her expression changed again and again. But to maintain her president's dignity, she stubbornly picked up a piece of zelgin and put it in her mouth. The next second, she rushed into the yard and threw up everywhere. She's afraid of the dark at night, and doesn't dare sleep alone. She insisted that I move a small stool and sit in front of her door, and she held onto my foot tightly. President Gu, this kind of touching and pulling constitutes workplace sexual harassment. Shut up. It's an honor to have you stand guard for me." Looking at her clearly terrified, but still stubbornly denying it, I suddenly felt that this she-devil wasn't so annoying after all. The next morning, the massive roar immediately woke up the entire Peach Blossom village. I woke up startled and rushed out of the yard, and saw a white private helicopter, wobbling, as it descended toward the village threshing ground. The propeller kicked up a gale, instantly blowing away the swagger of the second-generation rich kid, Chung Lin. Before the helicopter even stopped, Sanitary Pad Sholi held a bouquet of blue roses, striking what she thought was a super cool pose as she landed. But the moment she steadied herself, she was hit by the pungent smell wafting from the nearby pigpen, and she gagged on the spot, covering her nose. She locked eyes on Su Qingxue in the crowd, wearing a gaudy floral padded jacket. A look of anguish instantly appeared on her face, as if she were looking at a saint in distress. "Qin Han, I'm here to save you. How could she let you suffer like this? How could such a poor, run-down place be worthy of you?" Saying this, she pulled out her checkbook again. This time, she spoke directly to the village chief, who had rushed over after hearing the commotion. "I'll give you 10 million to sell me this dump of a village. I want to build the most luxurious resort in the world for Qin Han here." "What are you babbling about, you little punk? You want to dig up our ancestral graves?" Just as a brawl was about to break out, Su Qingxue suddenly stepped forward and made a move that shocked everyone. She went forward and proactively took my arm. Leaning against me, she gave Sanitary Pad a sweet smile. "Sorry, I just like the natural, untouched feel of this place. And I like this natural, untouched guy too." Sanitary Pad didn't believe her. She thought Su Qingxue was being coerced by me. She pointed at me and issued a challenge. "Fine, you want to prove you're better than me, right? Let's have a competition. We'll compete in rice planting, something you country bumpkins are best at." I looked at her spotless, custom-made suit and her gleaming leather shoes, and a devilish smile crept across my face. "Okay, heaven has a road, but you refuse to take it. You've walked right into the lion's den. Today I'm going to show you what it really means to be down and dirty." News of the rice planting competition spread like wildfire, flying all over Peach Blossom Village. Everyone in the village, men, women, old and young, all grabbed their stools, grabbed their sunflower seeds, and ran to the rice paddies east of the village. ready to watch this epic showdown. Miss Sanitary Napkin was all puffed up and ready to get in the rice paddy. But as soon as she stepped one foot in, she went down like a rock, sinking straight into the mud. She couldn't get out. The whole place erupted in laughter. I skillfully walked into the field barefoot. My movements were smooth as silk. With a few quick swipes, a neat row of seedlings was planted. Miss Sanitary Napkin struggled in the mud for ages, barely managing to pull herself out. He was covered head to toe in mud. She was about to walk forward, when suddenly, she let out a shriek. Ah! Something bit me. She raised her calf in terror. A dark, wriggling leech was firmly attached to her leg. Sanitary Napkin screamed like a banshee, completely losing her composure. Su Qingxue stood on the ridge of the field, watching the comical scene, laughing so hard she was doubled over. She couldn't even stand up straight. However, Sanitary Napkin refused to give up. She crawled out of the mud and suggested a second competition. I refused to accept defeat. Let's have a second competition, catching geese. She pointed to the flock of imposing white geese at the entrance of the village, confident of victory. I almost burst out laughing. Everyone in the village knows about second uncles. Flock of domestic white geese. They're the fighter jets of the village. Even dogs are scared of them. Sure enough, the moment Wei Shangjing got close, the lead goose king stretched out its neck and charged toward him with a group of its little buddies. What followed was a truly tragic scene. Wei Shangjing was chased by a flock of geese, sprinting down the village road, yelling for his mommy. The goose king precisely pecked at his butt, putting several holes in his expensive suit pants. Su Qingxue was in tears. Finally, I couldn't stand it anymore, stepped forward and grabbed the goose king by the neck, lifting it up, saving Wei Shangjing, whose butt was a mess. He stood there, covered in dirt and looking pathetic, the ripped part of his pants bursting open again. Su Qingxue wiped away the tears of laughter, cleared her throat, and announced the results of the village competition in front of everyone. I hereby announce that in this rural showdown, Lin Kei is the winner. As a reward, go wash the clothes I took off yesterday. Huh? What kind of reward is that? That night, the village had a scheduled power outage. Without phones and TVs, the whole village was plunged into darkness and silence. Su Qingxue and I climbed onto the roof, looking at the brilliant starry sky above, something you could never see in the city. The summer night breeze carried the scent of earth and grass, and it felt really comfortable on our skin. Why did you scam me back then? Why did you block me after scamming me out of the money? I was silent. This question had been a thorn in my side for 5 years. My mom was sick back then. She urgently needed money for surgery. I had no choice, so I tried to scam some money online. But after I got the money, I felt really guilty. I felt like I couldn't face you, so I blocked you. Su Qingxue didn't say anything, just listened quietly. Actually, I figured out a way to pay you back the next day, but I couldn't find you. Using the gifting function in the game, I recharged the points and gave them back to you. You just probably didn't notice. Su Qingxue was stunned. She took out her phone, and then used her incredible skills to find the spending records from 5 years ago. She searched through the spending records for a long time. Finally, under a certain date 5 years ago, she found a gift record of 2,000 points. The misunderstanding was cleared up, but the atmosphere became even more delicate and ambiguous. She lowered her head, her voice as quiet as a mosquito buzzing. Then you're a liar too. You stole my trust. You know? During that time, my parents had just divorced, and the house was a complete mess. No one cared about me at all. And you were my whole world. I really thought of you as a very important friend back then. My heart felt like it was hit hard by something. So that's how it was. So behind those 200 yuan was hidden a story like this. I looked at her delicate profile, in the moonlight, lacking the usual coldness and dominance, and with a hint of fragility and softness. I suddenly felt that this she-devil wasn't so scary after all. Su Qingxue stayed at the town's health center for a day. The next day, she came back with a vengeance. This time, she didn't put on such a flashy display, but instead directly called a group of bodyguards, wearing black suits and sunglasses, to block the only road into the village. I've already contacted investors, and am preparing to buy up the land in your village, to build a chemical factory here. When that time comes, your beautiful, picturesque, peach blossom village will turn into a stinking ditch. The villagers were furious. They all grabbed their farm tools and surrounded us. Su Qingxue's expression darkened. She stepped forward, blocking the villagers from me. Wei Shengming, you're breaking the law. Wei Shengming sneered, completely disregarding her words. He signaled to his bodyguards. 2 bodyguards immediately stepped forward, one on the left, one on the right, grabbing Su Qingxue's arms, trying to forcibly drag her into the car. Qingxue, I took a deep breath, putting 2 fingers in my mouth. I blew aloud, piercing whistle. The next second, hundreds of mixed-breed country dogs poured out from all directions. A dark mass, instantly surrounding Wei Xingming's motorcade. Suddenly, chickens were flying and vegetables were scattered everywhere. Dogs barked and people screamed in unison. Those bodyguards, used to being chauffeured around the city, had never seen anything like this before. They were utterly defeated by the villagers. Forced into a complete rout, I seized the opportunity and rushed to the front of the car. Swinging the shovel in my hand, I smashed it hard against the car window. With a loud crash, the car window shattered. Glass shards cut my hand. Blood was flowing freely. I ignored the pain, reached in and opened the car door. I pulled Su Qingxue out of the car. "Are you okay?" Su Qingxue looked at my bleeding hand. The usually composed look on her face was replaced by a look of panic for the first time. "Your hand." Wei Xingming was completely terrified. Amidst the denouncement of the entire village and the joyous send-off from the dogs, he scrambled into his car and slunk away. I looked at Su Qingxue, whom I had protected behind me. She was looking back at me too. There was an emotion swirling in her eyes that I couldn't quite decipher. Back home, Grandma saw my injured hand and teared up with concern. Su Qingxue took out a first aid kit from the house, carefully cleaning and bandaging my wound. Her movements were clumsy, but gentle. The antiseptic stung the wound, but I didn't make a sound. Grandma watched from the side, offering her support with a satisfied look. "Our Keiwa has grown up. He knows how to care for his wife. I like this granddaughter-in-law just looking at her. Big hips, she looks like she'll bear children easily." Su Qingxue's face flushed red all the way to her ears. It was the first time I'd ever seen her blush. From that day on, the atmosphere between us changed. She stopped mentioning the 200 yuan, and no longer brought up the breach of contract penalty. She took off her high heels and suit, and changed into sneakers and casual clothes. She started following me to the river to catch fish, and to the mountains to pick mushrooms. She learned quickly, from being all thumbs at the start, to getting the hang of it later on. One day we were catching fish by the river, and she suddenly said, "Lin Kei, I'm not going back. How about I stay and be your boss's wife?" I looked at her serious expression, and quickly took 2 steps back. No, President Su. You must be joking. I can't afford you. One of your meals could feed me for half a month." Su Qingxue didn't say anything, but just kept pressing closer, cornering me against a large tree trunk. She slightly raised her chin, with her unique domineering and forceful manner. "Fine, I'll support you. Come back to the company with me, and be my exclusive assistant." I opened my mouth, trying to refuse, but she took out that document from her pocket. I thought she'd cherish it for the rest of her life. The 2 million yuan breach of contract agreement. She tore it to shreds right in front of me. The village was spared, and I was hers. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it was going to jump out of my throat. Seeing how stunned I was, a mischievous smile crept onto her face. She leaned in close to my ear and whispered something only I could hear. "If you don't agree, I'll tell the whole town about how you dressed up as a girl 5 years ago and scammed me online. Fine, you win. Damn, you're ruthless." In the end, she escorted me back to City A. Back at the office, everything had changed. The way my colleagues looked at me went from sympathy to shock, then to awe. That assistant to the president who counted ants and wore cosplay outfits was now brazenly sitting on the sofa in the president's office, playing games on the president's personal computer. And that ice-cold female CEO not only didn't get angry, but personally served him tea, poured water, and peeled fruit. When Su Qingxue was in meetings, she was still that decisive, unquestionable queen. But everyone noticed that, whenever her gaze swept over me, that icy look would instantly melt, becoming as gentle as water. After work, our private time officially began. Playing duo games became a fixed part of our daily routine. Only this time, the roles were completely reversed. I contentedly picked Yao, like an accessory, riding on her head, and she played Marco Polo, killing everyone in the King of Glory Canyon. She always carried me to victory in the game. There were always some clueless teammates who would say I was a kept man, leeching off her. Whenever that happened, Su Qingxue would turn on her mic for the whole team and fire back in her cool, assertive voice. "I'm happy to carry him. So what? Humph. I bought this husband of mine for $200 back in the day. Got a problem with that?" I looked at her domineering words on my phone screen. I couldn't help but smile with a mix of helplessness and affection, even though back then, I just wanted to scam her out of a skin. Who would have thought I'd end up throwing my whole life in the mix? I looked at her domineering words on my phone screen. The corners of my mouth twitched upward, but I still complained. "You sold me for $200? I'm worth less than a skin." Su Qingxue didn't even look up. She kept peeling her apple and said, Skins are temporary. You're permanent. Well, aren't you something? I was speechless. Just as I was about to retort, I saw some heads peeking in. At the office door. It was some of the company's employees. They must have heard our conversation. They were all frozen there, afraid to breathe too loud. The game audio was pretty loud earlier. They definitely heard Su Qingshu say, "I bought this husband of mine for $200 back in the day." I felt a little awkward, and shrunk back into the sofa, hiding my phone in my arms. Su Qingshu acted like nothing happened. She finished peeling the apple, sliced it into small pieces with a paring knife, picked up a piece, and held it to my mouth. I instinctively opened my mouth and bit it, chewing the apple. Out of the corner of my eye, I could still see the shocked looks on the faces of those by the door. Like they'd seen a ghost. "What are you looking at? Don't you have work to do?" Su Qingshu suddenly looked up, her tone terrifyingly cold. The heads by the door instantly retracted. Even their footsteps were as light as a cat's. Afraid of provoking this Ice Queen CEO. I couldn't help but laugh at how fast you change your face. It's a shame you're not an actress. 1 minute you're pouring your heart out to me, the next you're scowling at the employees. Su Qingshu ignored me, and speared another piece of apple, offering it to me. I didn't take it. I reached out and grabbed a piece myself. "Stop feeding me. It's like feeding a kid." "Oh yeah, you said I'm a long-term thing. So I'm being kept by you? What else?" Su Qingshu raised an eyebrow. "You owe me $200. You'll never pay that back in this lifetime. You'll just have to work it off." I was just about to argue with her, when there was a light knock on the office door. "Come in." Su Qingshu's tone returned to its usual icy coldness. The HR lady opened the door and walked in, holding some forgotten documents. She froze the moment she stepped inside, her eyes wide as saucers. The documents in her hand fell to the floor with a thud. She clearly didn't expect that Ms. Su, who usually finds even a single word from her employees annoying, would be sitting with me, even feeding me apples. And me? I was sitting on the CEO's special sofa with my legs crossed, 1649 playing games on my phone. And she's playing a game on her phone. I was so startled I almost jumped off the sofa. "Quick, get your legs down. The phone in your hand. Move it away too." Su Qingshu, however, was unusually calm. She wiped her hands and pointed at the desk. The HR lady continued cutting the documents while bent over, her voice trembling. "President Su, company regulations forbid employees from playing games in the office area. And furthermore, the sofa in the president's office. Besides you, no one else is allowed to sit on it." Su Qingshu raised her eyes to look, her gaze unwavering. She stated the regulation. "From today on, Lin K has the right to use the sofa, and can also play games in the office. Any more questions?" The HR lady's face went pale. She quickly shook her head. "No questions, President Su. I'll put the documents down and leave right away." She hurriedly placed the documents on the desk and almost fled from the office. When closing the door, she nearly bumped into the doorframe. I watched her retreating figure and couldn't help but laugh. "You're too bossy, changing the rules as you please. The employees are going to be dumbfounded. It's my company. I'll change things if I want to." Su Qingshu picked up the documents on the desk and flipped through them. "Besides, you're my guy. Special treatment is only right." Her words made me blush a little. I quickly changed the subject. "Can I keep playing the game then? I'm not done with you yet. One more round. I should go familiarize myself with the work of a special assistant. I can't just goof off here playing games all day." Su Qingshu didn't say anything. She just sat quietly beside me, looking at documents. Occasionally she'd look up at my phone screen. If she saw me getting chased down, she'd casually remind me that someone was on my left. Flash away to dodge. Save your ULT. Wait till they're low health to use it. I didn't play for long. There was another knock on the office door. This time it was Chief Financial Officer, Old Joe. Old Joe is a longtime employee of the company. Rumor has it she helped Su Qingshu's dad build the company. She carries a lot of weight around here, and she's usually pretty blunt. Even Su Qingshu has to give her some face. As soon as Old Joe came in and saw me sitting on the sofa with my legs crossed, playing a game, her face went pale. She put the financial report in her hand on the desk. "Instead of spoiling President Su, the company isn't your home. Assistant Lin's behavior is a bad influence." My heart skipped a beat. Quickly turned off my phone. I stood up to explain, but Su Qingshu spoke first. She put down the documents in her hand and looked up at Old Joe. Her tone was calm. "What bad influence?" Old Joe pointed at me. She was so angry her hands were shaking. "She's playing games. Playing games during work hours. What will people say if word gets out about Su's? That our company is loosely managed, and even the president's assistant can do whatever they want." Su Qingshu's lips curled slightly. She glanced at me. She wasn't just playing games. She was listening too. She heard the data. You don't believe me? Ask her. I was instantly dumbfounded. I cursed Su Qingxue 800 times in my head. I was so focused on playing the game just now. How could I have been listening to any financial report? But in front of old Joe, I couldn't call Su Qingxue out on it. I just had to bite the bullet and say something innocent sounding. Profit margin is down. Old Joe was stunned. Her eyes went wide as she looked at me, then back at Su Qingxue. Clearly, she hadn't expected me to actually get it right. Qingxue picked up the financial report on the desk, flipped to a certain page, pointed to the numbers on it and said, "So, you were actually listening." My heart was pounding. I just had to nod and play along. Yeah, I just happened to overhear it. Su Qingxue then spoke up, with a hint of amusement in her voice. Lin's memory is better than you think. Anything else? Old Joe's face went from red to white. She wanted to say something, but couldn't get the words out. Finally, she just sighed heavily, grabbed the financial report, and slunk out of the office. As she closed the door, she glared at me. The look in her eyes said I was doing it on purpose to mess with her. Once old Joe was gone, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. I collapsed on the couch, patting my chest. You scared me to death. I wasn't listening at all just now. I was just taking a wild guess. Luckily, I guessed right. Su Qingxue came closer, a sly look in her eyes. I know, but you nailed it, so she's got nothing to say. Looking at her sly expression, I suddenly realized this woman wasn't just vindictive. She was scary smart. Everything calculated down to the last detail. Couldn't help but reach out and ruffle her hair. She actually dared to trick old Joe. Isn't she afraid he'll get angry and quit? Su Qingxue slapped my hand away, her expression reverting to its usual icy aloofness. She won't quit. She's been with my dad for so many years. She's got an attachment to the Su Corporation. Besides, she can't leave the benefits Su Corp provides. I smiled, saying nothing more. I picked up my phone. I took a look. It was a text from an unknown number. A text message that said, Lin K, is it? You think you've won? Seeing this text, the smile instantly vanished from my face. The phone in my hand froze. Who sent this? Could it be sanitary pad? Besides her, I can't think of anyone else who would be out to get me. Su Qingxue noticed something was off with me. Su Qingxue sensed my unusual behavior. She snatched my phone. She stared at the screen for 3 seconds. Her face instantly darkened. The gentleness from before disappeared, without a trace. Her eyes were so cold they could freeze a person to death. Who sent that? I asked her, already having an answer in my heart, but I still wanted to confirm it. Give me back my phone. She got up and walked to the French windows, turning her back to me. Her voice was low. I don't know, but the number is a burner. There's no way to trace it. I looked at the text message, feeling a wave of panic in my heart. That sanitary pad jerk, after being chased off, she still hasn't given up. She still wants to give me trouble. What does she even want? Don't overthink it. Su Qingxue turned around, looked at me, and her expression softened somewhat. From today on, we'll go to and from work together. I won't let her hurt you. I nodded, feeling a little more at ease. With Su Qingxue around, Tampon shouldn't go too far. But I also know that Tampon is narrow-minded. After being humiliated like that by Su Qingxue and me, she definitely won't let it go. Who knows what kind of trouble she might cause next. That night, I left work with Su Qingxue. She drove me back to my apartment. When I got out of the car, she handed me a thermos. It was brown sugar ginger tea inside. To warm me up, I'll pick you up tomorrow morning. Don't be late. I took the thermos, feeling warm inside. I nodded. Got it. Thanks. You be safe too. Su Qingxue didn't say anything, just waved to me, and then drove away. I watched her car disappear into the night, before turning and walking into my apartment. I opened the thermos. The ginger tea was still warm. I took a sip, and it warmed me to my core. The next morning, sure enough, Su Qingxue picked me up right on time. We got to the office. I had barely stepped into my office when I realized something was off. My desk had been gone through. The stuff in my drawers was a mess. Files, notebooks, everything was scattered all over the floor. I stood there without moving, my mind racing. My keys weren't missing. My wallet was still in the drawer. Nobody took it. My phone's on me. The only thing missing was a USB drive with old game screenshots. That USB drive just had screenshots from when I played games 5 years ago. Nothing important. Why would someone specifically steal that? What's wrong? Su Qingxue walked in. She saw me standing there frozen, and then looked at the files all over the floor. She frowned. Someone's been through my desk. I pointed to the files on the floor, my tone a little heavy. A USB drive is missing. It just had old game screenshots on it. Su Qingxue's face darkened instantly. She pressed the intercom button, her voice icy. Security. Pull up the security footage from outside the CEO's office from last night. Immediately. Now. She hung up. Su Qingxue walked over to my desk, squatted down, and carefully examined the drawers for any signs of forced entry. There weren't any pry marks. It looks like it was opened with a key. Where do you keep your spare access card? In the drawer. I replied. I distinctly remember putting it in here. It's gone now. Su Qingxue nodded. She didn't say anything else, just stood there, staring coldly at the files on the floor. Clearly, she was pissed. Not long after, the head of security rushed in, holding a tablet. Looking flustered. Ms. Su, the security footage is out. Su Qingxue took the tablet and opened the video. The video showed that, at 2 a.m., someone dressed as a janitor swiped a card to get into my office. They were in there for 5 minutes, and then left with something. In a hurry. The swipe record shows. It was my spare keycard. Zoom in. Su Qingxue pointed at the screen, her tone icy. Look at the way this person walks. The head of security quickly zoomed in on the video. The person in the frame had their head down, so you couldn't see their face. But they were dragging their right leg a bit. It's obvious they have a slight limp. Su Qingxue stared at the screen for a few seconds. Her eyes grew even colder. It's her. The former head of security who just quit last month. Poached by hygiene products. I was stunned. Hygiene products? But all they took were some game screenshots. Su Qingxue turned off the video and turned to look at me, her tone serious. Hygiene products isn't after me. She's messing with my company. She stole your flash drive, probably thinking it had some dirt on someone, to use as leverage. My heart sank. So that's what's going on. After getting kicked out, hygiene products actually set her sights on the Su Corporation, and even tried to use me to blackmail Su Qingxue. But that flash drive only has my game screenshots from 5 years ago. Su Qingxue suddenly smiled, with a glint of cunning in her eyes. That makes things easier. She doesn't know you've got nothing in that D drive. Because those screenshots, I've seen them, right? I paused for a second. Then it dawned on me. Su Qingxue was telling me that the USB drive she stole was empty, and she would think that was my weakness, and expose even more. But I knew in my heart that there really was something on that D drive, a photo of me in drag from a game. I took it when I was young and dumb. I was too embarrassed to delete it, so it stayed on the D drive. If she gets a hold of that photo, she'll definitely use it to humiliate me, maybe even use it to suck up to Su Qingxue. Just thinking about it gives me a headache. Su Qingxue noticed something was up with me, frowning. What's wrong? Is there something else on this hard drive? I hesitated. I still didn't tell her. I didn't want her to see me looking like such a wimp. Even less did I want her to get dragged into this. Because of that photo. Nothing. I just suddenly remembered that in those screenshots, there were a few where I played particularly badly. If sanitary pads saw them, she'd definitely make fun of me. Su Qingxue smiled and ruffled my hair. Don't worry. So what if she laughs at you? I'm here. She wouldn't dare do anything to you. I nodded. I felt a little more at ease. But I knew I couldn't just let it go like this. I had to find a backup of that photo. Then delete it. I can't give Su Qingxue any openings. After work, I went back to my rented apartment. I rummaged through everything. I found all my old cell phones and USB drives. Searched through each one. Finally, I found a backup of that photo on an old phone. Found a backup of that photo. In the photo, I was wearing a pink women's outfit, wearing a wig, and pouting, looking both stupid and embarrassing. I stared at the photo. I almost smashed the phone. Was I out of my mind back then? Taking a photo like this? I gritted my teeth. I originally wanted to just delete it, but then I thought, if Su Qingxue really tried to blackmail me with that photo, if I had a backup, I might be able to turn the tables on her. So I didn't delete the photo. Instead, I locked the phone in the deepest part of the drawer. Then I sent Su Qingxue a message. She wouldn't be able to get that. Not long after. Before long. Su Qingxue replied to me. Don't worry. I know. Get some rest. We have work tomorrow. Looking at her message, my heart felt warm. After washing up, I went to bed to rest. I thought Su Qingxue was just stealing a USB drive. It wouldn't be a big deal. But I didn't expect. Her ambition was bigger than I thought. The next morning, I just got to the company. When I saw Su Qingxue's secretary, Xiao Chun, running in, flustered. Her face was pale. Su, CEO Su, emergency call from the board. Someone's been buying up the company's scattered shares on a large scale. The shareholding ratio has already exceeded 5%. Su Qingxue was looking at documents. Hearing this, the pen in her hand paused. Her face instantly darkened. She put down the pen, picked up her cell phone, and dialed the board of directors. Bing Luin, I know. I'm coming over right away. She hung up the phone. Su Qingxue stood up. She tapped the table 3 times with her finger. This is a habitual action she does when she's thinking. I can tell. She's very angry right now, but also very calm. Who is it? She can't think of. Who else would do this? She has enough money. And enough reason to want to tank the Su Corporation to get back at us. Su Qingxue nodded. Rather than be serious, it's gotta be her. She wants to maliciously acquire the Su Corporation and force me to compromise. My heart started racing. What do we do then? We can't just sit here and watch her buy up the company. The Su Corporation is Su Qingxue's father's legacy. She definitely wouldn't just sit by and watch the company fall into someone else's hands. Su Qingxue didn't say anything, just furrowed her brow in thought. I looked at her and suddenly thought of something. I asked, "Your company?" Su Qingxue looked up at me, a hint of surprise in her eyes. Clearly, she hadn't expected me to ask that question. Why are you asking that? I have a way. I looked at her. Rather than standing firm, if we can find the most dispersed shareholders, convince them not to sell their shares to Sanitary Napkins. Sanitary Napkins' acquisition plan will be hindered, and maybe we can even find Sanitary Napkins' weakness from them. Su Qingxue paused for a moment, then nodded. Okay, I'll have Xiao Chen bring over the shareholder list. She dialed Xiao Chen's number and asked Xiao Chen to bring in the shareholder list. Before long, Su Qingxue, President Su, the shareholder lists are all here. Su Qingxue handed me the shareholder list. Take a look. See if there's anyone you're looking for. I took the shareholder list and started flipping through it all night. There are many people on the shareholder list, including institutional shareholders and individual shareholders. I carefully looked at each person's shareholding ratio. Suddenly, I pointed to a name and said, "This one holds 3%. Not an institution, an individual." Su Qingxue leaned over and looked at the name. Her expression changed instantly. I could tell. She knew this person. How do you know about this? Su Qingxue looked at me, a hint of doubt in her tone. When you had me organize the financial statements the other day, I happened to see it, I replied. This person, do you know him? Su Qingxue was silent for a long time, before slowly opening her mouth. This person was my dad's old comrade-in-arms before he passed. His last name is Wang. I call him Uncle Wang. Back when my dad was starting his business, he helped my dad a lot. Before my dad passed away, he transferred 3% of the shares to him, as a way of repaying his kindness. I nodded, feeling more confident. That's good. Since Uncle Wang is your dad's old comrade, he definitely won't sell his shares to Wei Xingjin. After all, he has feelings for the Su Corporation too. Su Qingxue shook her head. That might not necessarily be the case. Uncle Wang is getting old, and his health hasn't been good in recent years. His family urgently needs money. If Wei Xingjin offers a high price, he might waver. I was silent. Su Qingxue was right. People die for wealth, and birds die for food. Wei Xingjin has plenty of money. As long as he offers a high enough price, Uncle Wang might really sell his shares to him. What do we do now then? I looked at Su Qingxue and asked. Su Qingxue was silent for a long time, before finally speaking. What Wei Xingjin wants isn't Uncle Wang's shares. He's forcing me to come forward and negotiate. He knows that the Su Corporation is my dad's life's work, and I won't just stand by and watch the company be acquired by him. So, he's deliberately acquiring scattered shares, to force me to compromise, either marry him, or hand the company over to him. I looked at Su Qingxue's cold eyes, feeling a pang of sympathy in my heart. She's only in her 20s, yet she has to bear so much pressure. On one hand, she has to protect her father's legacy, and on the other hand, she has to deal with Wei Xingjin's harassment. Then don't go. I looked at her, my voice firm. I'm going. Su Qingxue was stunned, looking at me, her eyes filled with surprise. What are you going to do? I'm going to pretend to be a small shareholder who wants to sell shares, to see what he's hiding. I'll act like I have a small number of shares in my hand, and want to sell them to him, taking the opportunity to find out his acquisition plan. See what he really has up his sleeve. Also, to see if he really bribed Uncle Wang. Su Qingxue stared at me for a full 10 seconds, then slowly smiled, her eyes with a hint of heartache. Ling Ke, when did you become so smart? I scratched my head and smiled a little embarrassed. From the moment you stopped treating me like a dog. I don't want you to bear all this alone anymore. I want to help you, even if it's just a little bit. Su Qingxue's eyes softened. She reached out and held my hand. Okay, I'll let you go, but you have to be careful. That Wei Xingjin, don't let him trick you. You must not reveal your identity. If there is any danger, call me immediately. Don't worry. I'll be fine. I nodded and squeezed her hand. I will definitely see what he's hiding and help you protect the company. The next day, I borrowed a cheap suit from Xiaochun and bought a pair of plain glasses. I dressed myself up in a gaudy way. I looked like someone who had never seen the small shareholder of the market. I'm heading out. I went to Weisheng's investment company. Weisheng's investment company is located in a high-end office building in the city center. The decorations are luxurious and grand. The company is second to none. I walked into the office building. The receptionist stopped me. "Hello, sir," she said with a sweet smile. "Do you have an appointment?" I deliberately put on the airs of a nouveau riche and said in a weird Hong Kong and Taiwanese accent, "Yes, I do." Mr. Wei said. He wants to meet all the shareholders who want to sell their shares. I have shares in the Su Corporation, and I want to sell them to Mr. Wei. The receptionist was stunned for a moment, obviously amused by my Hong Kong and Taiwanese accent, but she still maintained her smile. "Okay, sir. Please wait a moment. I'll call Mr. Wei's office to confirm." Not long after, the receptionist hung up the phone and gestured for me to enter. "Sir, Mr. Wei invites you in. This way, please." I followed the receptionist into Weisheng's office. Weisheng's office is very large, decorated very luxuriously. A huge oil painting hung on the wall. A pure gold thermos was on the desk. It looked very expensive. Weisheng was sitting behind his desk, wearing a branded suit. His hair was slicked back, with a hint of arrogant smile on his face. She saw me, and looked me up and down, with a hint of disdain in her eyes. Obviously, she didn't take me seriously. "You're the small shareholder who wants to sell his shares?" Weisheng asked, in an arrogant tone. "How many shares do you have? Name your price." I deliberately pretended to be nervous, rubbing my hands, and said in a Hong Kong and Taiwanese accent, "Hello, Mr. Wei. I have 0.5% of the shares of the Su Corporation. Wants to sell to Mr. Wei. I wonder how much Mr. Wei is willing to offer." Mr. Wei chuckled. His tone didn't give away even 0.5%. "Just this little bit of stock. It's worth you making a trip? How about this? I'll give you 500,000. Sell the stock to me. What do you say?" I pretended to look surprised. My eyes widened. 500,000. That's a lot. Just then, the office door was pushed open. Someone walked in. I looked up. I was instantly stunned. It was actually old Zhou, Su Qingshue's CFO. Why is old Zhou here? Isn't he from the Su family? Could it be that he betrayed Su Qingxue and sided with Mr. Wei? Old Zhou was also stunned when he saw me. A hint of surprise flashed in his eyes, but he quickly regained his composure. He walked to Mr. Wei's side and whispered a few words. I forced myself to remain calm, continuing to act like a nouveau riche. But inside, my mind was a tangled mess. Old Zhou is actually a mole. No wonder Mr. Wei was able to acquire Su's scattered shares so smoothly. No wonder he was able to easily get my spare access card and plant the USB drive on me. So, he had already betrayed Su Qingxue and sided with Mr. Wei. Mr. Wei patted old Zhou on the shoulder and said to me with a smile, "This is Director Zhou. He understands Su's situation better than you. In the future, if you have any more shares you want to sell, just contact him directly." Old Zhou also looked at me. Mr. Wei, his tone was cold. "I wouldn't suggest touching shareholders with too little stock. Pointless. Waste of time." I pretended not to understand. Standing up, I pointed at old Zhou and said, playing along, "Zhou, aren't you with Su? What are you doing here? Did you betray Ms. Su and throw your lot in with Mr. Wei?" Old Zhou's face went white instantly. A flicker of panic flashed in his eyes. He glared at me. His tone was icy. "What are you talking about? I just came to discuss a partnership with Mr. Wei." Mr. Wei laughed heartily and patted old Zhou on the shoulder. "Zhou's a visionary. That piece of the pie from the Su's, he got a slice, but it wasn't enough to fill him up. Follow me. He's angling for an even bigger score." Old Zhou gritted his teeth and muttered to the sanitary napkin, "Zip it. He obviously doesn't want me to know too much. Afraid I'll go back and tell Su Qingxue?" I was secretly thrilled. Looks like I took a wrong turn this time. Not only did I see the bottom of a sanitary napkin, but I also stumbled upon a mole old Zhou. I deliberately put on a scared act, shrunk my neck and said sorry. I didn't mean to. I just thought it was weird. How come Mr. Zhou's here? Sanitary napkin. Haha. Didn't pay any attention to what I said. Seeing how I was doing? 500,000. Sell it or not? I pretended to hesitate, scratching my head. Director Wei. I suddenly don't want to sell it anymore. Just came to take a look. 2601, they really do have bigger financial backing. 2602, then it'll be even harder. 2603 for us to protect the Su family. 2604, no way. 2605, we can't just sit here and do nothing. 2606 Old Joe definitely knows. 2607, who's behind Weixing Gold. 2608, we have to find out. 2609, Su Qingxue shook her head. 2610, Old Joe definitely won't tell us now. 2611, he hates us. 2612, wants us to fail as soon as possible. 2613, how could he possibly tell us the truth? 2614, I have a way. 2615, I looked at Su Qingxue. 2616, my tone firm. 2617, Old Joe has a weakness. 2618, we can exploit his weakness. 2619, to force him to talk. 2620, Su Qingxue was stunned. 2621, looking at me. She asked, what's his weakness? 2622, his daughter. 2623, I replied. 2624, when I was is Wei really loaded? Now I've seen it all. I'm out. As soon as I finished with Zhou, I turned to leave, afraid of staying even a second longer, lest my identity be revealed. Sanitary Pad and Old Zhou were both stunned, clearly not expecting me to suddenly change my mind. Old Zhou reacted, hurriedly saying, wait, why are you suddenly not selling? The price is negotiable. I didn't turn around, just waved my hand, and said with a Hong Kong and Taiwan accent, forget it, I think Sue's shares will appreciate in value later. I'd rather keep them myself. Wait, Zhou, goodbye. I quickly walked out of Sanitary Pad's office, out of the office building, until I got into a taxi. Did I finally breathe a sigh of relief? That was too close for comfort. I almost revealed my identity. I took out my phone and immediately called Su Qingxue. My tone urgent. Old Zhou is a mole. He's at Sanitary Pad's company right now, collaborating with Sanitary Pad, helping him acquire Sue's shares. There was a 2-second silence on the other end of the phone. Then Su Qingxue's cold voice came through. I know. Where are you? Did you reveal your identity? I'm okay. I didn't reveal my identity. I replied. I'm in a taxi right now. I'll be back at the company soon. Okay. Be careful on the way. I'll wait for you at the company. Su Qingxue's tone softened a bit. I'll handle. Old Zhou sighed. Hanging up the phone, I leaned back in the taxi seat, feeling a wave of emotion. Old Zhou had been with Su Qingxue's father for so many years, yet he would betray the Su family. Betray Su Qingxue. You really can't judge a book by its cover. Before long, I was back at the office. As soon as I walked into the lobby, I saw all the employees gathered together, whispering amongst themselves, with surprised looks on their faces. I was puzzled, so I walked up and grabbed an employee, asking, what's up? What happened? The employee saw me and whispered, Assistant Lin, don't you know? President Su called Director Zhou into her office. It seems like she's going to fire him. We all heard President Su's voice just now. She sounded really angry. I nodded, understanding what was going on. Su Qingxue must have immediately called Old Zhou into her office. After I made that call, to settle the score with him, I quickly walked toward Su Qingxue's office. As soon as I got to the door, I heard Su Qingxue's cold voice coming from inside. You're fired. Legal will be in touch regarding the non-compete agreement. Furthermore, for years you've been abusing your position to embezzle company funds, colluding with illicit money, and damaging the company's interests. I will hold you legally responsible. Immediately after, I saw Old Zhou walk out of the office with a dark expression. From the office, he saw me, his eyes filled with resentment. He stopped, lowering his voice. She said to me menacingly, you think you can protect him? There are people behind Wei Shengjin you can't afford to mess with. You and Su Qingxue are going to be finished sooner or later. I looked at him and said coldly, you better worry about yourself. Your betrayal of the Su Corporation, betrayal of CEO Su, will come at a price sooner or later. Old Zhou sneered and said nothing more. He glared at me, then turned around and slunk out of the office. I walked into the office. Su Qingxue was sitting behind her desk, her face cold. She held a document in her hand. It was the evidence of Old Zhou's embezzlement. You're back. Su Qingxue looked up at me, her expression softening slightly. Didn't scare you, did it? No, I'm okay. I walked over to her and sat down. Old Zhou just told me that there are people behind Wei Shengjin we can't afford to mess with. Is that true? Behind Wei Shengjin, who else is there? Su Qingxue's face darkened. She was silent for a long time, before finally speaking. I'm not sure either, but I know that Wei Shengjin's financial resources aren't enough to support him, buying up the Su Corporation on such a large scale. Behind him, there must be bigger money backing him. I nodded, feeling anxious. If behind Wei Shengjin, there really is bigger capital backing us, then we want to protect the Su Corporation. It's even harder. No way. We can't just sit here and do nothing. Zhou definitely knows. Who's behind the sanitation fee? We have to find out. Su Qingxue shook her head. Zhou definitely won't tell us now. He hates us. Wishes we'd just crash and burn already. There's no way he'd tell us the truth. I've got an idea. I looked at Su Qingxue. My tone firm. Old Joe has a weakness. We can exploit his weakness. To force him to talk. Su Qingxue was stunned. Looking at me. What's his weakness? His daughter. I answered. 2624 when I was organizing employee information before. 2626. He has a daughter 2627, who is in the 8th grade at the experimental middle school. 2628 she gets good grades. 2629 old Joe really dotes on his daughter. 2630 we can use his daughter 2631 to force him to reveal who's behind the health fee kickbacks. 2632 Su Qingxue frowned. 2633 her tone. When I was organizing employee files earlier, I saw old Joe's family info. 2626 he has a daughter. 2627 she's in 8th grade at experimental middle school. 2628 she gets good grades. 2629 old Joe dotes on his daughter. 2630 we can use his daughter. 2631 force him to tell us who's behind the sanitation fee kickbacks. 2632 Su Qingxue frowned. 2633 her tone was hesitant. 2634 that doesn't feel right. 2635 involving a kid. 2636 it's not appropriate. 2637 right now. 2638 there's no other way. 2639 I looked at her. 2640 my tone heavy. 2641 if we don't know. 2642 who's behind the sanitation fees. 2643 we won't know their hand. 2644 sooner or later, they'll take us down. 2645 what we're doing. 2646 is to protect the Su family. 2647 to protect the legacy your dad left behind. 2648 besides. 2649 he had a daughter. In junior high at experimental middle school, he was a straight A student. Old Joe dotes on his daughter. We can use his daughter. Force him to spill who's behind the pilfered petty cash. Su Qingxue frowned. He sounded a little hesitant. 2635 it involved a kid. That doesn't seem right. 2635 it involves a kid. 2636 that's not really appropriate. 2637 right now. 2638 there's no other way. 2639 I looked at her. 2640 my tone heavy. 2641 if we don't know. 2642 who's behind the health fund. 2643 we won't know their 牵扯到孩子. Not really appropriate. Now, there's just no other way out. I'm looking at her. Heavy voice. If we didn't know. Who's the guy bankrolling this mess? No clue what their endgame is. They'll run this place into the ground sooner or later. What we're doing is to protect the Su family. To protect what your dad built. Besides, we're just trying to scare him. Wouldn't actually hurt his daughter. Su Qingxue was silent for a long time. Finally, she nodded. Okay. We'll do as you say. But you have to be careful. Don't actually hurt the child. Don't worry. I know. I nodded. And immediately got up. I'm going after old Joe right now. And force him to tell the truth. I hurried out of the company doors. In the parking lot, I stopped old Joe as he was getting into his car. When old Joe saw me, his face changed instantly, and said very fiercely, "What else do you want?" I walked up to him, blocking his path, and said coldly and clearly, "Who's the person behind the hygiene gold? Who is it?" Old Joe sneered, and pushed me away. "Let go. I have nothing to say. You and Su Qingxue will both be brought down by Director Wei sooner or later. Just you wait." I didn't let go. Instead, I stepped forward, and held his shoulder. Smiling, I said, "Director Zhou, your daughter is at the experimental middle school. 8th grade, right? Doing pretty well. Always in the top 50 of her grade on every test. And also, she really likes to paint. She even won an award in the school's art competition, right?" Old Joe's face turned pale. His eyes filled with panic. He grabbed my hand, and pushed me away forcefully, and said urgently, "What do you mean? What do you want to do to my daughter?" I didn't mean anything by it. I'm looking at him. With resolve. "I just want to tell you something. That building next to your daughter's school is under the Su Corporation. One word from CEO Su, and your daughter can be transferred. She could even make it so she can't stay at the experimental school. Tell me, if your daughter can't go to the experimental school, and can't continue drawing, what will happen to her?" Old Joe's body began to tremble. His eyes were filled with fear. He knows. Su Qingxue means what she says. Just one word from her, and his daughter really won't be able to stay at the experimental school. Are you threatening me? I'm just reasoning with you. I'm looking at him. With determination. Tell me who's behind the sanitary napkin deal. I guarantee, your daughter will be fine at school. CEO Su won't investigate you for embezzling funds. She'll even give you a sum of money, so you can take your daughter and leave here. Find a place to live a peaceful life. If you don't tell me, you'll face the consequences. Old Joe sighed deeply. His eyes were filled with despair. He knows. He has no choice. On one side is his daughter. On the other is the sanitary napkin deal. He can only choose his daughter. The sanitary napkin is just a front. Old Joe lowered his head. His voice was low. The real company that wants to acquire Su Corporation is Dingsheng Capital. My heart skipped a beat. Dingsheng Capital. I've heard of this company. It's a very powerful investment firm, worth tens of billions. Much bigger than the Su Corporation. No wonder Always Sanitary Pads has so much confidence. Daring to maliciously acquire the Su Corporation. Turns out it's backed by Dingsheng Capital. I loosened my grip. Looking at Lao Zhou, who's the boss of Dingsheng Capital. Why do they want to acquire the Su Corporation? The boss of Dingsheng Capital is Zhao Ding. Lao Zhou replied. He was a partner of Su Qingshua's father when he was alive. Back then, Su Qingshua's father and Zhao Ding started a business together and founded the Su Corporation. Later, the two of them disagreed and went their separate ways. Zhao Ding left the Su Corporation. He just feels that the Su Corporation should be his. Therefore, he's always wanted to acquire the Su Corporation and take the Su Corporation as his own. I nodded. Finally understood. Turns out, Zhao Ding is the one pulling the strings behind all of this. He has an old grudge with Su Qingshua's father, so he wants to take advantage of Su Qingshua's youth and inability to protect the company, to acquire the Su Corporation and avenge the grievances of the past. How did Su Qingshua's father die? I suddenly remembered what Lao Zhou said before, and asked, You said before that Su Qingshua's father's death may not have been an accident. Did Zhao Ding do it? Lao Zhou shook his head. His tone was heavy. I don't know. Su Qingshua's father died in a car accident. The police at the time ruled it an accident. But Zhao Ding thinks it wasn't an accident. He always said that Su Qingshua's father designed the car accident himself to frame him. But I don't know the specifics. I'm not clear. I was silent. Was Su Qingshua's father's death really an accident? If it wasn't an accident, who did it? Is this Zhao Ding? Or is there someone else? I've told you everything. I know. Old Joe is looking at me, exhausted. I hope you keep your word. Don't hurt my daughter. Don't worry. My word is my bond. I nodded. 2817 As for Ms. Su, 2818 I'll go talk to her. 2819 You take your daughter right now 2820 and get out of here. 2821 Find a place 2822 to settle down and live a peaceful life. 2823 Don't ever come back. 2824 Old Joe nodded 2825 and gave me a I'll talk to Su about it. You and your daughter. Get out of here right now. Find a place to settle down and live comfortably. Don't come back. Old Joe nodded. She gave me a deep look. 2914 She stood up immediately, then got in the car, started the engine, and quickly drove out of the parking lot. I stood there in the parking lot. My head was buzzing. A thought popped into my head. Su Qingshua's dad's death. Maybe it wasn't an accident. Maybe Zhao Ding really was involved. Zhao Ding to acquire the Su Corporation, to get revenge for the old grudge. Maybe he'd stop at nothing and killed Su Qingshua's father. I took a deep breath, turned around, and hurried back to the office. Su Qingshuo was still sitting behind her desk, looking at the evidence of Lao Zhou embezzling funds. Her face was icy. Did you get anything out of him? Su Qingshuo saw me, looked up and asked, a hint of anticipation in her voice. The guy behind the forged checks is Zhao Ding from Dingsheng Capital. I walked over to him and sat down, rather heavily. Zhao Ding was your dad's partner before he died. They went their separate ways years ago, and he founded Dingsheng Capital. He's always felt that the Su family should be his, so he wants to acquire Su's, to take it over. Su Qingshuo paused, mid-page turn, then continued flipping through the files. She was terrifyingly calm. I know. I was stunned. Looking at her. You know? You knew all along? That Zhao Ding was the mastermind? Su Qingshuo looked up and looked at me. Her eyes were calm. I've been waiting for him to come out of the woodwork himself. After my dad died, I knew Zhao Ding wouldn't let it go. He'd come around sooner or later to try to acquire Su's. I've been secretly investigating him, gathering evidence against him, just waiting for him to make his move, so I can take him down for good once and for all. I looked at Su Qingshuo. My heart ached for her. She seems so strong, so cold. But in reality, she's carrying so much on her own. She knew all along that Zhao Ding was behind it, but she pretended not to know. All for the sake of avenging her father and protecting what he left behind. So what do we do now? I looked at her and asked. Zhao Ding's Dingsheng Capital is very powerful. We're no match for him. How can we possibly protect Su's? How can I avenge your father? Su Qingshuo closed the file. Get up, grab the car keys and come with me. Where to? I asked. We're going to see someone. Su Qingshuo's tone was calm. My dad's best friend when he was alive. Uncle Li. He might know something. He might also have evidence on Zhao Ding. I nodded. 2914 I immediately stood up. 2915. and followed Su Qingxue out of the office. 2916 getting into her car. 2917 the car drove for 40 minutes. 2918 and stopped in front of an old villa in the suburbs. 2919 this villa looked like it had been around for a long time. 2920 it was surrounded by trees. 2921 making it seem very quiet. 2922 Su Qingxue got 立刻站起来, following Su Qingxue out of the office and hopping into her car. The drive took 40 minutes. We pulled up to an old mansion on the outskirts of town. This mansion looks like it's been here a while. It's surrounded by trees. It looks really quiet. Su Qingxue got out of the car. Walking up to the mansion gate, I pressed the doorbell. Before long, the mansion door swung open. An old man in a wheelchair, with an empty right pant leg, slowly rolled out. He saw Su Qingxue, and his eyes instantly welled up. His voice trembling, "Qingxue, you've grown up so much." Su Qingxue knelt down and took the old man's hand. Her voice also trembled slightly. "Uncle Li, yes, how did your leg become like this?" The old man shook his head and sighed, his tone heavy. "The year your dad had his accident, I also had a car accident. It wasn't an accident. Someone wanted to silence us." Standing behind, I heard this sentence, and it resonated deep in my bones. So, Su Qingxue's dad's death, it wasn't an accident. Someone did it on purpose. And the person who wanted to silence him was likely Zhao Ding. "Uncle Li, what exactly happened?" Su Qingxue's voice trembled, her eyes filled with fear. "My dad's death, was it really an accident? Did Zhao Ding do it?" The old man sighed. "He invited us into the villa. The inside of the villa was simple. The decor was plain. Hanging on the wall was a photo of Su Qingxue's father. The person in the photo had a gentle smile. He looked very kind. The old man sat in his wheelchair, looking at the photo of Su Qingxue's father. He was silent for a long time, before slowly speaking. "Back then, your dad and I started a business together. We founded Su's corporation. Later, Zhao Ding joined us. The three of us worked hard together and grew Su's into a bigger and bigger company. But I never imagined Zhao Ding would be so ambitious. He wasn't satisfied with just being a partner. He wanted to control the entire Su's corporation. He wanted to kick your dad and me out. Your dad discovered Zhao Ding's ambition. He also discovered evidence of him embezzling company funds and secretly transferring company assets. He wanted to expose Zhao Ding. But I never imagined Zhao Ding would strike first." The old man's voice was heavy. "The day your dad had the accident, he was supposed to go to the police station to submit the evidence of Zhao Ding's embezzlement. But as soon as he left the house, that's when the car accident happened. And me, I was supposed to go to the police station with your dad that day. But on the way there, I got hit by someone too. My legs were ruined just like that." Su Qingxue's body started trembling. Tears welled up in her eyes. But she held them back, not letting them fall. "So, my dad's death really was Zhao Ding's doing?" The old man nodded. "With great weight, I'm sure of it. It was Zhao Ding. He was trying to cover up his crimes, trying to take control of the Su family. He didn't hesitate to kill your dad. And he even wanted to silence me, to kill me too. Luckily, I'm tough. I survived. But my legs are useless now." Su Qingxue was silent. Her eyes were full of hatred. She clenched her fists tightly, her nails digging deep into her skin. Blood was even flowing out. I looked at her. My heart ached. I reached out and gently pressed down on her hand, wanting to comfort her, but I didn't know what to say. The old man reached under the wheelchair cushion and pulled out an old envelope. He handed it to Su Qingxue. "Your dad sent this to me the day before the accident. Inside is evidence of Zhao Ding embezzling funds and transferring company assets, as well as audio clips of him discussing how to kill your dad with others. Back then, I didn't dare bring these things out. I was afraid Zhao Ding would silence me, afraid of implicating you. Now, you're grown up. She's got the ability to protect herself now. These things should be given to you." Su Qingxue took the envelope. Her hand was trembling. She slowly opened the envelope. Inside was a stack of documents and an old cassette tape. She picked up the documents, flipping through them page by page. Tears finally fell, one by one, landing on the documents. I stepped forward, holding her hand, and said softly, "I'll do it." I took the documents and flipped through them. Inside was all the evidence of Zhao Ding embezzling funds and transferring company assets. Each one was very detailed, enough to prove Zhao Ding's crimes. I looked up. Looking at the old man, I asked, "These things, how long will they be enough to put Zhao Ding away?" The old man shook his head. His tone was heavy. "If you had brought them out 5 years ago, it would have been enough to sentence him to 10 years. Now, he has already laundered himself clean and founded Dingsheng Capital. His power is great. The effectiveness of these things has been discounted. At most, it can only hold him back can't, in one fell swoop, completely crush him. I nodded, feeling a little disappointed. I originally thought this evidence could send Zhao Ding to jail in one go. I didn't expect that, because it's been too long. The effectiveness of the evidence has been discounted. Discounted is still something. I looked at Su Qingxue and said, give these to Jinjin. At least it can stall him, so he can't continue to hurt the Su Corporation. Once we collect more evidence, we can then completely crush him. Su Qingxue suddenly spoke, her tone icy. Her eyes were full of determination and unyielding spirit. What I want is not to stall him, but to kill him once and for all. I want him to pay for what he did to my father. I want to ruin his reputation, leave him with nothing. I looked into Su Qingxue's eyes. It wasn't hatred, but something more terrifying than hatred. It was composure. It was resoluteness. A woman waited 5 years, endured 5 years, just to completely crush a man, to avenge her father. The old man looked at Su Qingxue and sighed. Miss, I know you hate Zhao Ding. I hate him too. But Zhao Ding has a lot of power now. He has money and influence. We can't be impulsive. We have to take our time, collect more evidence, so we can once and for all completely defeat him. Su Qingxue nodded, wiped away her tears, and her eyes returned to their calm demeanor. I know, Uncle Li, thank you. These things are very important to me. From now on, I will protect myself and avenge my father. I won't let you suffer so much for nothing. The old man nodded. A sinister smile crept across his face. Okay. Seeing how strong you are, I'm relieved. If your dad's looking down on us, he'd be proud of you. We stayed at Uncle Li's place for a bit, talking about Su Qingxue's father. Then we left. Coming out of Uncle Li's house, Su Qingxue leaned against the car door, not moving for a long time. The setting sun shone on her, making her look especially lonely. Let's get in the car. I walked up to her and said softly. Su Qingxue didn't move. I called out Su Qingxue again. She turned around, and I saw that her eyes were red. Tears were still on her face. The usually aloof and assertive Su Qingxue looked like a wrong child at that moment. It just breaks your heart. When my mom left, I didn't even cry. Su Qingxue suddenly spoke, her voice trembling. She thought my dad was poor and ran off with someone else. I was 6 years old that year. Watching her leave, I told myself I'd never cry again, never be weak again. I didn't say anything. I stood next to him and lit a cigarette. I know. What he needs right now isn't comfort, but to talk. All I can do is be there for him and listen to him talk. My dad raised me all by himself. Su Qingxue continued, tears falling again. He played both father and mother, raising me with so much hardship, sending me to school. Su Qingxue didn't move. I called her name again, Su Qingxue. She turned around. I saw her eyes were red, tears still on her face. The usually aloof, aggressive Su Qingxue right now looked like a wrong child, making you feel sorry for her. When my mom left, I didn't even cry. Su Qingxue suddenly spoke, her voice trembling. She thought my dad was poor and ran off with someone else. I was 6 years old that year. Watching her back, I told myself I'd never cry again, never be weak again. I didn't say anything. Standing beside her, I lit a cigarette. I knew what she needed now wasn't comfort, but to vent. All I could do was be there with her and listen to her vent. My dad alone raised me. Su Qingxue continued, tears falling again. He played both father and mother, raising me with so much hardship, sending me to school, saving every penny, buying me what I wanted. But I always lost my temper with him. He always said, Qingxue needs to be strong. The Su family will rely on you in the future. Back then, I thought he was annoying, thought he was useless, couldn't even keep my mom. I stubbed out my cigarette. I turned around and walked up to Su Qingxue, reaching out to wipe the tears from her face. The cigarette burn stung my fingertips. I didn't care. I just stared into his eyes and said, don't cry. If your dad could see you like this right now, he'd be heartbroken. He raised you this much, not so you could say, I'm going to cry, but so you could live well, live in a way that would make him proud. Su Qingxue was stunned, like she hadn't expected me to say that, or that I would reach out and touch her. She froze for a couple of seconds. Then suddenly, she slapped my hand away, turned, yanked open the car door, and got in. And with a cold face, she shouted, get in. Back to the office. I looked at her back, and I clearly saw. Her earlobes were so red they were practically bleeding. I couldn't help but smile. He hurried to catch up. I opened the car door and hopped into the passenger seat. The AC wasn't on, so it was a little chilly. Su Qingxue's hand on the steering wheel was still trembling slightly, but she stubbornly put on an indifferent face. The car pulled into the company parking garage. Su Qingxue had just turned off the engine. Her phone suddenly rang. She glanced down at the screen. Her expression instantly changed. Her fingers curled up. She didn't answer it. She just pressed the hang-up button and flipped the phone face down on the console. I turned my head to look at her, teasing him on purpose. Who is it? So scared? Wouldn't be Zhao Ding, would it? Su Qingxue didn't look at me. Instead of being all stiff and formal. Wrong number. But he can't fool me. I was just waiting for him to slip up. The only word on the phone screen was picture. I didn't call him out. I reached for his phone. Unlocked it. His password was his dad's birthday. I remembered it a long time ago. Saved the number on my own phone. Then gave his phone back. Let me deal with him. You're carrying this alone. It's too exhausting. Su Qingxue finally looked up at me. With a complicated look in her eyes. There was surprise, resistance, and a hint of barely perceptible reliance. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something. But in the end he just choked out. Don't worry about it. I didn't argue with him. Shrugged with a smile. Worry or not, I'll decide. Who told me to take your $200? Take someone's money and solve their problems. It's only right. Su Qingxue didn't say anything else. Opened the car door and got out. Her high heels hit the parking lot floor, making a crisp sound, but without her usual confidence. I quickly followed, walking shoulder to shoulder with him towards the elevator entrance. Just as we reached the company lobby, the receptionist's eyes widened. The pen in her hand fell on the table with a snap. Her mouth opened wide enough to fit an egg. Several employees who were clocking in were also frozen. Their employee ID cards were paused on the time clock. Their eyes were glued to the two of us. Everybody knows. Su Qingxue always keeps to herself at the office. She never gets that close to anyone, let alone walks through the lobby side by side with them. She usually just takes the private elevator. She rarely even comes to the lobby. Su Qingxue ignored everyone's stares. She walked straight towards the elevator. She took a couple of steps and noticed I wasn't keeping up. She turned back around and coldly called out, "What are you standing around for? Keep up." I jogged to catch up with her and whispered in her ear, "Could you try to be a little less obvious? Look at them. They're practically seeing right through us." Su Qingxue glanced at me, her tone a little bit haughty. "Mine. Why can't I be obvious? I'll walk through the lobby with my assistant. What's it to them?" The elevator doors slowly closed, shutting out everyone's stares. It was just the two of us in the elevator. The atmosphere suddenly became a little ambiguous. The air even seemed to get warmer. Su Qingxue suddenly turned around, reached out and pinned me against the elevator wall, her eyes cold, her tone a little anxious. "What I'm saying is, don't interfere. He's not some small fry like sanitary napkin. He's ruthless. He's capable of anything. He'll kill people." I looked into her eyes. Her eyes held worry, held fear, but she was forcing herself to hide it. I reached out and gently took hold of the hand she had on my shoulder, my tone firm. "I know. That's why I need to go even more. You can't handle this alone. You don't have to carry it all alone. You had no one before. Now you have me." Su Qingxue stared at me for 5 seconds. Her eyes softened. The hand holding mine also loosened. The elevator doors opened with a ding. She let go of my hand, turned and walked out, leaving a sentence without looking back. "If you die, I'm not cleaning up after you." I looked at her back and shouted with a smile, "Don't worry. I won't die. I still have to spend your 200 yuan. I'll never finish spending it in this lifetime." I followed Su Qingxue into the president's office. As soon as I closed the door, I saw a white envelope on the desk. The envelope wasn't sealed, revealing a corner of a photo inside. My heart skipped a beat. I walked over quickly, picked up the envelope and opened it. My face instantly turned green. Inside was a photo of me in drag from 5 years ago. In the photo I'm wearing a tutu, with pigtails, looking innocent. Next to it, someone wrote a line in red pen. "Lin K, you thought you could get away? Crap. She actually got it." I couldn't help but curse. The photo in my hand was shaking. This is what I wanted to keep from everyone the most, was this thing. She actually dug up the sanitary napkin and sent it to Su Qingxue. Su Qingxue walked over, snatched the photo from my hand, glanced at it. Her expression didn't change much, as if she had expected it all along. She pulled out her phone and dialed a number. Coldly, she said, "Security Department, immediately check the company intranet. Who posted this picture? I want results in 10 minutes. The person on the other end must have said something." Su Qingxue hummed in acknowledgement and hung up. Turning to look at me, she said, "What's the panic? It's just a photo. What's the big deal?" I looked at her, feeling both touched and anxious. This isn't just any photo. If the company employees see it, how am I supposed to face anyone here ever again? If those gossips use it to spread rumors, saying I'm your boy toy, and wearing women's clothes is an eyesore, It's not good for you, or the company. Su Qingxue didn't say anything, just looked at me quietly, with a hint of comfort in her eyes. Just then, a burst of laughter came from outside the door, along with the sound of hushed whispers. I could vaguely make out women's clothes, assistant Lin, and other such words. Su Qingxue's expression completely iced over. Picking up the phone again, her voice carried an undeniable authority. All department heads, meeting in my office in 5 minutes. Quickly grabbed her hand. Don't call a meeting. It'll just make things worse. Holding a meeting now is just going to make this thing known to absolutely everyone. Su Qingxue frowned. Then what do you want me to do? Just watch them spread rumors? Watch you get laughed at? I gritted my teeth. I picked up my phone, opened the company's main group chat, took a deep breath, and started typing. Hey everyone, the guy in the picture is me. I took it 5 years ago when I was young and dumb. Laugh if you want, then get back to work. Also, whoever posted that picture, I suggest you come find me yourself. Otherwise, when I find out, you'll face the consequences. After sending the message, I tossed my phone on the desk, feeling anxious, afraid the group chat would explode, and everyone would make fun of me. The group chat was silent for a full 10 seconds. No one said anything, no one sent a message. Just when I thought I was done for, the little girl from HR sent a haha. It disappeared immediately after being sent. Then, an old employee from the finance department sent a message saying, Lin, you're a real man. You dare to act and own up to it. Then the group chat started blowing up, with messages all saying real man. Lin is honest and open. The sentiment shifted instantly. Su Qingxue picked up my phone, looked at the messages in the group chat, and the corner of her mouth twitched. She didn't laugh, but her eyes were noticeably softer, and her tone was more relaxed. I didn't expect you to be so resourceful. I smiled. The weight finally lifted from my heart. Of course. Don't you know who I am? By the way, did you find out who posted the picture? Su Qingxue put down the phone, her face darkening again. I did. The IP address is internal to the company, but the account was stolen from old Joe. Before he left a backdoor in the company's internal network. Sanitary Napkin used this backdoor to send out the photos. He paused. Does Sanitary Napkin have any more cards to play against you? Since he dared to use this photo, he definitely has something else planned. I suddenly laughed. I rummaged through the drawer and found an old cell phone. The photo he has isn't the original. I have the original, and the original has a timestamp in the lower right corner. That proves the photo is 5 years old. He can't spread new rumors. However, since he wants to play, I'll play with him to the end. I turned on the old phone. The screen is a bit laggy. I waited patiently for a while. I found the original photo of me in women's clothing. Opened it. Zoomed in on the timestamp in the lower right corner. Just then, I was suddenly stunned. Besides me in the photo, there's someone else in the background. That person is sitting in front of a computer, with their back to the camera. You can only see a blurry outline of their back, but I recognized his clothes at a glance. And that limited edition lighter he put on the table. Oh man, I remembered. There's someone else in this photo. I pointed to the background of the photo, my tone a bit surprised. Su Qingxue leaned in to look, her eyes fixed on the blurry figure. Her brow furrowed. Enhance his face. I want to see who took this photo with you, and who Sanitary Napkin used as leverage. I shook my head. No way. This photo's resolution is too low. You can't even see the face clearly. Can't be restored. Su Qingxue didn't hesitate. She picked up her phone and made another call. Get someone from the tech department to my office right away. I need you to restore the face in a photo. The sooner, the better. She hung up the phone. She turned her head to look at me. Who do you think this person is? Weixing put so much effort into stealing this photo. It can't just be to humiliate you. There has to be something else going on here. I carefully recalled the scene from 5 years ago. Back then, I had just started college. I spent all day playing games with a group of friends. That photo was taken in a friend's rented apartment. There were several other people hiding, but that person in the background feels really familiar, but I can't remember who it is. The tech guy said cautiously, Ms. Su, Mr. Lin, the photo? I'll restore it now. I handed the old phone to the tech guy. The tech guy took the phone and started working quickly. His fingers flew across the keyboard. The figure on the screen slowly became clearer. About 10 minutes later, the tech guy stopped. He pointed at the screen and said, Ms. Su, Mr. Lin, it's restored. I leaned in for a look. The face on the screen was clearly visible. I blurted out, I know him. He was a rich player in the game back then. His ID was Northern City. His real name is Su Beichen. When Su Qingxue heard this name, her face changed instantly. Her body stiffened slightly. You said Su Beichin? Zhao Ding's son-in-law? I was stunned. Couldn't believe my ears. What? He's Zhao Ding's son-in-law. Back when he and I used to play online games together, he only ever mentioned he was in investments. He never said he had any connection to Zhao Ding. The tech guy actually said, Ms. Su, Mr. Lin, I'll get out of your hair. Then he practically sprinted out of the office and made sure to close the door behind him, leaving just the two of us in the office. Su Qingxue said, her tone serious. Su Beicheng is the husband of Zhao Ding's eldest daughter, and he's in charge of some of Dingsheng Capital's operations. He has access to a considerable amount of Zhao Ding's resources, but Zhao Ding has never trusted him. He just treats him like a tool, exploiting his connections and resources. She paused for a moment, then looked at me. If he knew you 5 years ago, then maybe Wei Shangjin stealing that photo wasn't just to mess with you. Maybe it was to use you, to dig up dirt on Su Beicheng, in order to blackmail Su Beicheng and turn him against Zhao Ding. My brain did a quick calculation, and I instantly understood. You mean Su Beicheng and Zhao Ding aren't on the same page, and Wei Shangjin wants to use me as a wedge to pull Su Beicheng in, or blackmail Su Beicheng into doing things for him? Su Qingxue nodded. Very likely. Su Beicheng's position within Dingsheng Capital has always been awkward. Zhao Ding wants to leave all of Dingsheng Capital to his youngest daughter, so he's constantly wary of Su Beicheng. Su Beicheng's bound to be resentful. Wei Shangjin's just seizing on that, hoping to use the leads you have to force Su Beicheng to betray him. I stared at Su Beicheng's face on the screen and suddenly chuckled. Do you think I could get in touch with Su Beicheng? He didn't lie to me back then, and even helped me out once. I still owe him some money. If we can get him to flip and hand over Zhao Ding's dirt, then Zhao Ding will be half done for. I grabbed my phone and scrolled through my game friends list. I scrolled for a good 15 minutes, but I couldn't find Su Beicheng's account. That ID Beicheng has been grayed out. It says he hasn't been online in 5 years. I looked up to tell Su Qingxue I couldn't find it, but then I noticed. She was on a phone call, and she looked upset. Her brow was furrowed. Her tone was cold too. I told you, I'm not going. Su Qingxue lowered her voice. After saying that, she hung up immediately and flipped her phone face down on the desk, like she didn't want to talk about it. I walked over and put my hand on top of her phone. I said firmly, you just said you weren't going. Going where? Did Zhao Ding call you? Su Qingxue looked up at me. Her gaze turned cold. Her tone was a little impatient. Lin K, remember your place. My business is none of your concern. I didn't let go. Instead, I pressed down harder on his phone, staring into his eyes. My position is your special assistant, and more importantly, I'm on your team. Your business is my business. Zhao Ding called you. What does he want this time? Is he trying to pull something again? Su Qingxue looked at me. The coldness in her eyes slowly faded, replaced by a hint of helplessness and worry. He was silent for a long time. Finally, he sighed in relief. Lin K said, Zhao Ding wants to meet me in 3 days. He said he'd tell me the truth about what happened to my dad back then. The condition is, I have to go alone. No one else. And I can't call the cops. My heart sank. I got anxious. You agreed. It's obviously a trap. Zhao Ding could kill your dad. He can kill you too. You going alone is like walking into the lion's den. Su Qingxue shook her head. I didn't agree. But he threatened me with you and the company. He said, if I don't go, he'll hand over the evidence of old Zhou's embezzlement to the police and drag you into it too, saying you and old Zhou were in cahoots, embezzling company funds. Then, you'll go to jail, and the company will be investigated. The Su Corporation would be completely finished. I was so angry, I grabbed the phone off the desk and slammed it on the sofa. Didn't dare slam it on the floor, afraid of breaking it. God damn it, that old bastard is so cunning. He's actually threatening you with me and the company. Su Qingxue picked up the phone, wiped the dust off of it, and said calmly, I know it's a trap, but I don't have a choice. If I don't go, you and the company will be in trouble. My dad is already gone. I can't lose the company too, and I definitely can't let you go to jail because of me. I grabbed her wrist, my tone incredibly firm. Listen up, I'd rather go to jail than let you go off to die alone. We've all seen what Zhao Ding is capable of. You're going alone? You don't stand a chance. Either we go together, or I'm calling the cops and blowing this whole thing wide open. See if he dares to touch you then. Even if the company gets audited, even if I go to jail, I'm not letting you risk it. Su Qingxue looked into my eyes, her gaze filled with shock.